personalities and potential to potential employers. Today, we will provide you, or Anne-Sophie will provide you with practical tips and strategies and insight on how you can best approach your next interview with confidence. So before we get started, just a quick note on how we will run things today. Feel free to use the chat, say hello, perhaps share where you're tuning in from, drop short comments or questions along the way. And we will be taking the questions, or Anne-Sophie will take questions at certain points throughout the presentation. So make note of them or just put them directly in the chat. And now I'm thrilled to hand over to our speaker, Anne-Sophie, a seasoned career consultant from Audencia Business School in France. And she will guide us through the different types of interviews and the questions you're most likely to face along the way. So Anne-Sophie, over to you, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much, Kendall. Thank you, Hyatt, for inviting me. I feel very honored to be with you today and to actually share with you all the tips I can share with my students at Audencia. So we are based in Nantes, France. And if some people from the audience are from Audencia, hi. And all the others, I'll be happy to spend this hour with you to talk about interviews. So just first of all, I would like to just introduce myself so that you know who you're going to be listening to for an hour. My name is Anne-Sophie. I've been working as a career consultant for the Audencia Career Center since 2018 now, so nearly 8 years now. I'm a workplace psychologist, and I used to be a headhunter, a former recruiter for a recruiting firm. I used to recruit a lot of profiles in informatics, IT, commercial profiles, luxury too, and also international profiles. So I used to be based in Paris, and I was recruiting a lot of profiles from United States and a little bit all over the world. So this is from my background. Today I'm going to be sharing with you a few topics that seem important to me, but when I say me, it's also my colleagues from the Career Center in my team, and this is what we would have shared with you if you were students from our school. So first of all, I want to address all the questions you might have regarding the interviews, so please use the chat so that I can see if I'm going to address them in the workshop, and if not, we are going to be taking them at the end of the workshop. Plus, I want to be talking to you about the phone interviews, because this is your first opportunity to actually make the first right impression, and you won't have twice the occasion to make the right first impression. So this is the first step to master. Then the interviews, and I'm going to talk to you about what you can do before, what you are going to be doing during the interview, and after. And I made a specific part for all the questions regarding salary. So it will be in the end of the workshop. So if you have questions during the workshop, please type them. I will try to address them at the end of each topic, and of course, in the end. Okay, is it clear for you? First of all, do you have some questions? Please type them in the chat regarding the topic of the interviews. Why would you be attending this workshop today? What are your expectations? What would you want to actually gain from this hour with me? I'm going to see if I can read your answers. If you have anything, you can say. I give you 1 minute to type everything you would like to address regarding the interviews and or the salary. And if you have no questions, no questions. You will have some answers. I won't judge anything, so please feel free to say. And if you don't, you will maybe have them during the workshop. It's okay. If I don't have any questions, I don't have any questions. Okay, so you know what? I don't see any questions at the moment, so you will have them later. So, first of all, I want to talk to you about the different stages of the interviews. And as I told you, it will all begin with a phone interview. So, my recommendations is to actually consider the phone interview as I told you in the beginning, uh, your first impression, the first time you are going to be doing the only first impression, you want to make it good. So, of course, this is all the tips I can give you for scoring a second interview, which is the second part. So, first of all, take it seriously. The first impression is the good impression, and it will lead to the next one. If you're not in the right conditions, like maybe in the subway, maybe in a bus, maybe talking with somebody, or not in front of your computer with, your Excel sheet regarding all the applications you might have done, anything like that, please say it. So you take the phone, you actually say hello, but you say, can we please call each other back in like 30 minutes? And my recommendations is not to actually postpone, is just to actually say hello, can we talk to each other later? And you say when, because if you don't, maybe this will leave the recruiter in an opportunity to actually call a few other candidates, and it will make you come after. So you don't want that. So what you want is actually to say, of course, I'm interested in talking with you, but can we just talk to each other later? And you say in 30 minutes from now, in 1 hour from now, and you just take the name and of course the number of the person who called you. So you are an HR, a manager, you take the name and you say, okay, I'll be in front of my computer or with everything I need in 30 minutes from now. So you'll be in a most suitable time for your call. And then, of course, you come back to your place, to your apartment, to your house, whatever, in front of your computer with your CV in front of your eyes and everything you need. So, as you have the name of the person who called you, you maybe try to LinkedIn and to see what this person does. And of course, if you have this job and your CV and your application and the job offer. So, if you can have that in front of your eyes, best situation. Then are the tips. If the person didn't have the chance to actually talk to you, you listen to the voicemail. If there is a voicemail, before you call back, because a lot of time I have students who call a number without knowing who tried to call them and are like, who are you? What is it for? This will not give a good impression to the person at the other way, in the other way. So you don't want to look like you don't know you who you're calling back. So please try to pay attention to your voicemail before you call back. And then, of course, my recommendation is if you need to actually receive a voicemail somewhere, make attention, make sure your voicemail is professional. I don't want something sounding childish or, like too friendly. You are in a situation, whatever you're looking for, an internship, a full job, you are professional. And then you are right in the front of your computer and you want to have the job offer in front of you if you can, of course, when you call back so that you are prepared. Of course, we call each other back regarding that position. I applied because I wanted to know more, and everything like that will be okay. And be clear and don't talk too fast. And I know what I'm talking about because I'm a fast speaker. So please make sure that you are actually okay in your timing, that you have time. And the more calm you'll be, the more easier your speech will be. Okay? So the phone interview. You need to keep in mind what will the recruiter actually keep from this talk. Your introduction, if you are clear and impactful, remember, you won't have twice the occasion to make the first good, right impression. Then your motivation, but for the job and the company. I'll come back to that topic of the motivation later. Plus the admin details, because a phone call is like a first short interview, but sometimes in 5 minutes, we get all the information we need. When I say we, I'm talking about myself as if I were a recruiter again. And of course, in 5 minutes, we can have addressed your level, your motivation, your availability, whatever type of visa you would need for actually taking the position. Maybe if you have other offers running at the moment, when are you available? Is it for an internship? Is it for more? The duration, because for 2 months and 6 months, you wouldn't maybe be paid the same. And of course, the starting date and the location. All these informations are what the recruiter is going to need from you. So Get that prepared. Normally, you should be okay with that. Then your level of work, experience, education. This is what I told you, if you can, to have your CV printed in front of you more than on your computer, because I have stories of students who actually had too many windows opened in front of them when they were talking to a recruiter, and it was not easy, not smooth for them to navigate through all the windows. I would recommend having, some paper sheets in front of them, so that you are going to be in a best position to actually gather all the information you need to talk about you, because this is the topic, your profile, your research, your motivation. Plus, the recruiter is going to actually look for your level of French and English. I said French, but of course, not all of you attending this workshop are going to be talking French, but because this is what I use with my students, it would be Italian, Spanish, whatever language you are talking, it would be the same, but they are going to want to actually cover the fact that you are okay taking their position. So please be prepared to have a little talk in another language, but normally this is not in the first phone interview that this would happen. Plus the questions. They are going to ask you if you have some questions. Normally, this is not over a phone interview that students would have too many questions, more in an interview like face to face or visio. Okay? Do you have questions? If you do, please type them in the chat. Then, as a summary, what I would like you to keep in mind is, first of all, you listen to the whole question before you answer. You smile when you dial. This is probably tricky for me to say that, but honestly, I can hear people smiling. This is contagious. This is something you are going to leave the right first impression. You remember that, okay? You smile when you dial. Then you write down anything you can. Of course, you take notes. This is the best way, this is the best advice I can give to you. Take everything in notes. Then have all your documents, I told you. Take notes. You list maybe some keywords or anything you have that you can actually say to them if you want, some keywords to be remembered by the person who's going to talk to you. This is maybe important for you. Okay, so you place those keywords. Then you know who is in the other end. And please don't talk too much. If you have one question, 1 minute 30 maximum to answer that. Because if you speak more, the other person will lose their attention. Okay. And if you didn't understand the question, please ask to repeat. It's okay. And then, of course, I told you you might have some questions. One question you should always be having is, what is the next step of the recruiting process? Because this question is completely okay. And most of the times, recruiters don't say it. You need to ask them for. In the other way, please make sure you don't have any noisy background or poor connection or flat battery. This is something common, but honestly, this happens way more than you would think. Then don't be, distracted. Don't have any unexpected calls calling, or don't anticipate. Please, make sure your voicemail is okay. I told you that. Don't be typing while talking or listening, because this will lose your own focus. Don't be too comfy too. I told you to smile, of course, but there is a difference for me between being smiley and being friendly. Too friendly, not a good signal. And don't talk too much, and listen, and don't be distracted. This is the best tips I can give to you for, of course, a phone interview, but let's be honest, for an interview in the hall. Then, if we move on to the interviews, I would just like you to say to me if you have any questions regarding the phone interviews first. In the chat, I can read them if you have some questions before I move on to the interviews. I'll give you a few seconds. Oh, I see that you have some questions. How to negotiate salary. I'll talk about that in the end. Like to learn tricks and find out why some questions are asked, if there's something behind them. Okay, so maybe I'll get that just in the interview section for the during the interview. The copy of the slides, I don't know. It's about hired who will tell you what is the best or most appropriate response to. Tell me about yourself. Okay, I'll get all of those questions covered after. So I propose we move on. Interviews. Maybe not all of you attending this workshop already did an interview. Um, Trust me, I would say the hardest one is the first one. And the shorter the internship, the harder the interview. I would really say that. Because I have students at my school that are actually looking for some internships from 6 weeks to 10, 11 weeks. The shorter the interview, the harder to find and the harder the interview will be. So, of course, the longer the internship, the better the interview will be because you are available, you are there. And my recommendations would be, first of all, to know yourself because this is about yourself. This interview process, this is all about winning with yourself. So before the interview, what can you do? If you realize that interviews can be more or less stressful regarding maybe your knowledge of yourself, regarding maybe your trust in yourself too, your self confidence, plus if you already have done one, more than 10 or never, I would recommend you to actually use either some AI tools to actually train you or go to your own career centers to actually ask for a mock interview because this will help you. This will help you feel more confident on the daily. You may face some difficulties assessing the nonverbal of the recruiter or the manager during the interview. It's okay. It's okay because this is what the exercise of the interview will involve. And maybe as we are, in a technical world now, you will have some interviews with Google Meet or WhatsApp or Restream or Teams. You may face some difficulties or technical problems. It's okay. This can happen. What you need to have in mind is how can I be prepared in case this happens? So, preparation is the key to give you the feeling that you have done everything you could to actually feel ready because you are in the control of your performance. And what I always say to my students is the best feeling you can have is when you go out of an interview saying, I have done everything I could. So I felt prepared. I felt like I had done everything I could. So if this goes wrong, this won't not be your fault, you see, and this will help you actually accepting that maybe something went wrong or that maybe somebody was actually better than you, but it's okay as long as you felt like you were actually prepared to the most. Okay. So my tips will help you with that. First of all, top tips for virtual interview would be have a professional login. Of course, don't be like, Bunny84. No, never. So, full name, full profession, full everything, but professional. Run some tests. You can always run some. As long as you have the tool, the right tool, and the right device, you can always run some tests with, the background, with everything, the lighting, the sound, the Wi Fi, everything. I would say please close everything that's not important on your device. I have students that are not in the position to actually take those virtual interviews from their computers but on their phones. It's okay. You say that in the first place to the recruiter or the manager, saying, I'm sorry, I couldn't be on my computer, with my phone. But you make sure that you show to the people who are going to be interviewing you that you made all the efforts you could. And this is the best you can offer. Then be in a quiet place. You want everybody around you that you won't be disturbed because this is important. And a final tip I have that's not on my slide, pay attention to the background. As you can see, I have a swimming pool behind me. This is not what I would say really professional. But I'm sorry, I didn't have the choice. I never really use Restream as a website, and as amazing it sounds, I didn't have so much options regarding the background. So I'm sorry. I have a swimming pool behind me, but this would not be my first choice if I needed to be in front of you for an interview today. I would have more picked like an open space or a nice apartment, something like that, but really more professional. Try to stay in the most professional way. Okay, you can keep that in mind. No swimming pools. Just if you are applying for maybe like a resort, like something really like where the swimming pools are okay, it could be. But in for all the other positions, no, no swimming pool. What else? My tips for virtual interview too. Wear a professional outfit. Okay, so today myself is feeling very festive, but I was talking with you. I was not in an interview with you. But if I were in an interview process, maybe I wouldn't have dressed this way. But we are in December. I felt so cheered today. So I felt happy being in green and red. But please pay attention to your outfit. And if you are seeking for information regarding how should I dress the best way to actually match this company, go into their websites, go into LinkedIn, go into the profiles of the people working for this company. You will have access to their pictures, to their article, to their LinkedIn post, and you'll see what is the best kind of attire for those people. The outfit will be really like relevant for you. So please pay attention to that. This is just some little signals to remember. Pay the right first impressions. And then, if you have your resume in front of you, the job offer, please remember to take some notes from your key messages, what you want to say, because all your CV won't be remembered by the person in front of you. Why? What would you want the person you are going to be talking to for this interview to remember your profile by? So think in the other way. What should the person remember? And then maybe try to highlight some things that would feel relevant for you regarding the interview. Don't lose that in your mind. This is not just you showing everything you have. This is you having to highlight the best thing in your profile for this interview. So for this job, okay? Then, of course, if you can, and you need to actually be doing that, have the name and the number of the recruiter in front of you in case some technical issues. But in general, please know your audience, the name, the job title, the role in the recruiting process. During the interview, you will have some questions. And of course, we kind of see in general that common questions come to each interview. First of all, would be tell me more about yourself. So introduce yourself. Or hello, we don't know each other. Please, can you introduce yourself? I recommend you to have a look about the concept of the elevator pitch. I know that Hired already has some, some workshops and masterclasses regarding that topic that you can actually prepare for. Please know yourself and know how to introduce yourself. This is the best way to actually win the recruiter's opinion in the 5 first minutes. So recommendation, look about the topic of the elevator pitch. Then second question would be, can you tell me more about your previous work experience? So try to illustrate and give some examples if you can, because this is what the people are going to remember with the car or star method: context, actions, results. Okay, and no more than 2 minutes. I told you 1 minute 30, but 1:30 for the less and 2 minutes for the max per answer. Then, what is your motivation? This is really important because most of the time I see that you applied for this. I see that you can tell me everything you have done, but I don't understand your motivation to actually get this job. So please think about your motivation with three aspects. The first one would be for the field of the company. Then, in this field, why this company? And then, in this company, why this job? Because most of the time, you would say to me, I really want to work, I would say, like for Coca Cola. But okay, I'm interested about the fact that you want to work for my company, but if you want to do some communication and marketing, it's not the same job, you see? So tell me more precisely what you want to do for me. When we ask the companies what they like in the presentation and in the answer of the students, they say to us, we like when students know what they're looking for. We like when they say what they can offer to us. Okay? So don't come here saying, I just want to work for you. No. Okay? Be prepared to actually say to them what you can offer. I see that I have another question. Should the response to tell me more about yourself also? Yeah, completely. Yeah, Adrian. No more than 1 minute 30. And honestly, I've heard some presentations, like a lot of presentation with my students. When they talk too much, we don't have so many things to actually come back to in the interview. So I would like you to drop some keywords, to drop some, interesting things, but don't talk too much. And please have a conclusion. You remember that. Three strengths and three areas of improvement all the time. Okay, even if you won't place them, I don't want you. Wait, if you have this question, to actually say, let me think, I don't know, maybe, no. You have them prepared, and you have them prepared to be illustrated. Okay, specific examples, because if you don't have examples to use or to illustrate those strengths or those areas of improvement with, to me, this is not relevant. This is what I would say, lie. Okay, so if you don't know how to prepare for this, please come to your home tonight and ask to the person who knows you the best on this planet, your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whoever, your best friend, whoever. Can you say to me the three things you like the most about me, my three top strengths, and the three things of improvement? Trust me, those people would never lie to you because they don't have anything to win to actually give you those tips about yourself. Okay, they will be fully honest. So please use them, and more if you want. Do some personality tests. You have a lot, and go to your schools, to the career centers, to actually see which ones can help you defining those strengths and areas of improvement. Then, what would be your biggest achievement till date and why? And remember, illustrate everything you can, because if you don't have anything to illustrate, this will sound blurry or constructed or invented. And you don't want that. So please use that as an opportunity to actually tell a story. You are a storyteller about your life, and then to say to them, what did you gain and what was the lesson behind that, because this is everything we are going to actually want to see, your capacity of actually telling something that make you grow. Okay, that's something that make you be a best person and to actually gain in experience. Okay, this is everything the recruiter will want to address. So if I'm saying a few times back the questions we had, I guess I told you because we had the question, Adrian. It was you. What was behind the questions? I guess I told you that, but you tell me if you will need me to be more specific. Then, of course, this is not everything. The person in front of you might say to you, can you tell us about a conflict where you encountered and how you resolved it? Same thing. You need to be saying a story, and please don't say we, say I, because this is really important for the recruiter to actually see how you will place yourself in a story. Most of the times this is not something only focused about you, but in a team. Okay, but what was your contribution, and what was important for you to actually say that story to answer those questions, and then what was the lesson behind that again. Then they can tell you what is your background, where do you come from. This is just for you to actually say a story too, because normally there is nothing behind that question. What makes you the best candidate for the job? I really like that question, and I really like when students tell me I don't know what to say. You need to sell yourself. This is your to sell your own selling value. This is actually to show to the recruiter that you know what he's looking for, that you know yourself, that you know that your motivation is what he's looking for, and you need to say that to him. So this is for you to sell yourself, this question. Then, what are your salary expectations? I'll cover that just after. Where do you see yourself in 5 years from now? I hate that question, honestly, because students feel completely lost when they need to answer that question. You are not a medium. You don't know where life will bring you. You could just say, of course, at the moment, I have a projection where I see myself in 5 years, but let's be realistic. I don't know. You have the right to say, I don't know. What the people would like you to answer this question is to actually show that you are going to be somebody we can count on. Okay. So that please, of course, don't say, I'll be there, I'll be doing that, I'll be away, far, far away. No. Of course, you can say to them that you would like to see yourself in a position where you can actually have understood that, gain that experience from them. But what we need to cover is the fact that you want to work with them still in 5 years. Okay, but sometimes in some companies we know that there is no opportunity for you to actually stay in the company after the internship or after maybe a full a contract, so don't be too much by saying, I really want to work with you in 5 years. No, try to know in the first place if this is like an opportunity, like for a final internship, to actually remain with the company after. If you know that there's absolutely no opportunity, you could say, I know that there's no opportunity for me to stay with you in 5 years, so I don't know where I'll be. But of course, if everything went right and we liked each other, I would really like to stay with you. It could be, but honestly, you are no medium. And they will always ask you, do you have questions? You can never say no, it was really clear. Even if no, it was really clear. Most of the times, the manager or the HR will have addressed a lot of topics so that you don't have any questions and you'll feel a little bit shy without knowing if you can actually ask them some questions or not. But my recommendation, and not just mine, would be to say, of course, what is the next step? When would you call me back? When would be the next interview? How many candidates would you actually see more than me? Anything like that for the process would be okay. Okay. Then I have seen that you typed some questions. Are there any answers that might cause problem with responding to the question about the three areas? Interesting. Um, I would say, of course, because if you say you are lazy, you know, this would not be okay. So you need to actually think about what you could actually be answering. You always need to think that this is probably what the recruiters will remember. So you need to be strategical. You can't say everything. If your mom says you are lazy, you are not ordered, and you are boring, maybe this is not what you want to say. You need to actually transform it, you know. Think about what would I say on LinkedIn, and this will help you. Okay. What kind of improvement points are not appropriate to mention? This is, I guess, kind of the same topic, like perfectionism. No, to me, this is a good one. Um, this always think about LinkedIn. What would you say on LinkedIn? Because LinkedIn is like the too much place. Um, you need to think about what really describes you, what is honest, but what is something I can actually be feeling proud sharing with somebody. I like honesty, and you could be saying, people tend to see me as. This is a good way for me, as it's what I say to my students and alumni who don't know how to address this kind of questions. People tend to see me as somebody, you know, feeling like whatever skill. And then you could be saying, but honestly, once we know me, it's not that true. So you could actually be saying with the eyes of somebody else's than you, and then come back to your eyes saying, but it's not that true. Okay, this can help you answering that kind of question. Could say a short story to answer the tell me more about yourself question. Yep, you could. If you add a question, did I answer it right, or you need me to go deeper before I move on to the salary topic? You can say to me for those who had questions, or was it clear? Okay, so we'll move on to the salary because I know this is something interesting. I really like the salary topic and the salary questions because when I was a recruiter, I could say I was an evil recruiter. I really used to like. I'm bad for saying that. I really liked to actually trick my candidates by saying to them, under which salary wouldn't you sign? And they were never prepared for that kind of question. So I used to make them lower their expectations by saying that this is not good. Of course, this is something like tricky from a recruiter. I was a Neville recruiter. Um, I put you a few tips I want you to have in mind. First of all, when we talk about salary, to me, there is a huge misconception about the topic. There is a huge difference regarding your expectations and the negotiation. Two different things. First of all, for an interview, we are going to talk about expectations. No negotiation. The negotiation comes really, really after the whole process and really once you received an offer. We are going to talk about expectations. So, my recommendation, know your worth. What do you expect? The recruiter should be the one bringing up the topic of the salary, not you. Because as a recruiter, when my candidates brought the topic in the interview, not over the phone, because over the phone, I understood that this was like a topic, so that over the phone, they told me, can you tell me a little bit about the salary so that we covered that together, that if they were higher in expectations, we didn't even go to the interview part. And it was okay for the phone. But for the real interview, I assume that if you are in front of me and you accepted the interview, it's because you were okay with what you saw on the offer. Normally, you should have a little bit of information before actually coming to the interview. This is the norm now, but maybe some recruiters don't do that. It's not okay, but if you have some questions, if this is really important for you, please ask them over the first phone interview. Not Don't wait for the real interview, because if you wait for the real interview, this will lead to the wrong impression that you are mostly interested for the position for the salary than for the position itself. This is the wrong motivation, you see. So the recruiter should bring up the topic. What's the ideal time? I told you the end of the process. But of course, he's going to ask you by she, whoever, the recruiter, what are your expectations and probably the type of figures that you could share for your salary expectations. We recommend to use a range. Let's just say 45 to 49K would be okay. But please make sure you talk the same language. We recommend, and it's maybe French, gross, annual, and fixed. Okay, because this is anything you can make sure you will really gain. All the compensation, variable, plus objectives, and everything like that. I'll cover that just after. But this is not something that you are sure to gain. So make sure, if you have some expectation, that you speak the same language. So if you need to cover with the recruiter that you speak the same language, you can say to them, do we speak gross annual fixed? So then I would ask for a range of salary between 45 and 49. I recommend not a wider range than 4K, because 5 maybe in the best, biggest way, but no more than 5. How to estimate your salary expectations. I'll have a slide after with a lot of websites that you could use, but honestly, base yourself and your research on the market data plus on your school data, because sometimes companies, big companies, will use grids and will place your school in a grid, so it's important for you to actually know what the other students from your school did actually gain in this company, or the mixed, first salary for the alumni of your school and your program, because the school, if you take another program, is not the same salary. So pay attention to anything. And of course, if you work in finance, you will be paid way more than if you work in communication. Let's be realistic. So keep that in mind, okay? Plus your personal research. So this is a wide, big vision. And then the two trends I wanted to give you, I read a story really recent about that topic regarding the salary at the moment, mostly in Europe, are about recognition. So the real recognition of your worth plus the transparency. Okay. Then I told you, when you think about a package, a salary, you need to think package. What's in this package? So this is what I put in yellow, the global remuneration. So of course, this will start with the base salary. Plus, what do you have? The car insurance, the performance-based incentives. Do you have some bonus, some paid vacations, some days? If you work as me in a school, maybe I'll have a little bit more of school holidays. This is actually something that I need to consider in my global remuneration, plus any incentives you can have, all the saving plans, maybe, plus the business travel allowance, the health insurance, the company car, the company phone, company daycare, maybe, why not? You probably want to have kids, why not? And a membership in some clubs, association, anything that your company could offer you that the others wouldn't. And in the end, in a balance, this might lead to taking the decision of accepting a salary and a base salary, maybe a little bit less interesting than another one, but with a bigger package. Okay? Keep that in mind, please. The remuneration is never just based on a base salary. Think global package. Think package. The keyword is package for that slide. Then where to find information? I told you do your research as I did, based on the market, school, and personal data. So now, market and the network. Please try to gather information regarding the previous internships done in this company by students of the school or a similar company, but with the same kind of level of experience, the same amount of internships, same everything, same diploma. Any position at the targeted company will help also, because to actually understand the ecosystem of the company, plus alumni from your school for positions where a salary grid is applied. Then, from recruiting professionals, you have a lot of amazing surveys conducted by consulting firms like Robert Walters, Michael Page. Honestly, Michael Page is a great one for his salary surveys each year and by country. Really interesting for you to have that in mind. So, of course, there is no such thing as an international salary, but honestly, per country, yes. And Michael Page would probably give you the informations regarding the higher range that you would have. And for the French market, we have what we call APEC. It would be for the lower range. Okay, so it could be interesting for you to have that. And Hayes and Robert Walters and Oberhalf, great recruiting firms that would give you some informations. And you can have some studies sometimes on LinkedIn too. And then, of course, the best information website you can have is Glassdoor. Glassdoor is like the TripAdvisor for the company and corporate world. So you will have in the recruiting processes and salary informations anything as a wide range of informations on Glassdoor. So please keep the reflex to actually contact and go to Glassdoor before entering a company. And personally, in our school, we have access to a database of all the internships done at the moment by my students, plus done 2 years before by all the students. And we recommend the students to actually contact themselves in students to actually gather the information regarding, oh, I see that you've been working for Coca-Cola. How many months was the internship during? How much were you paid and everything like that. So we are using a lot of networking information. I see that you have questions. So you've been targeting internships. Your objectives is to try to stay in a fixed position. Okay. Okay. Yes, exactly as I told you in the for the during the interview questions. Um, what is your question? Can you be more specific? Abrilia, I don't know if you can type more so that I can actually address it to you. Because to me, I understand you're problematic, but I don't see your question. For the biggest achievement question, can I talk about something that isn't? Of course, you can. Of course, completely. If you don't have anything work related, please say to them, I have an example that would really be interesting for me to highlight. This is, and you can say it, of course, completely, Paula. So let's move on to the next slide. Um, this is for, the summary of the internship topic. Of course, you'll be on time, whether it's online or face to face. You be ready to face some unexpected. This is life, we never know. Don't lose focus, so please don't feel distracted. Put away anything that can make you feel distracted. Don't lose focus, remain calm. Try to speak slowly, I know, tricky. Smile, because always you want to be the person who'll be, cheering and in the right place in the team, because we never recruit like somebody to work solo. We always recruit somebody to work in a team. So you want to show the person you are going to want to impress, because this is what the exercise of the interview is all about. You want to impress, but you don't want to impress by being somebody else's. You want to impress for being yourself, and you want to feel like the student would be really be smiling and cheering and okay to actually be with them for 6 months at least. Don't be afraid of the blanks in the conversation. You are not there to actually fill them. You are in the position of being the interviewee, not the interviewer. Keep that in mind. You let the person conduct the interview and you take notes, of course, because I will tell you just after what was the point of taking notes. But I told you, please never leave an interview without knowing what is the next step. Okay? Do you have questions before I move on to the after interview? Okay, Abri, I see that you answered. Thank you very much. What type of questions during an interview can be made in order to learn about future growth with the company? Okay, it's all about the projection and what is your professional goal. So of course, by asking you where do you see yourself in 5 years from now, you can say to me, first of all, for now, I see myself there. I want to work with you. I want that job. Yeah, at 100%. And in 5 years, I don't know, but of course, I really hope this would be like the internship of my life. And I would really like to stay there and to actually grow with you. It would be okay for me to hear you say that. But you could be saying, I know that you don't have any places or that you don't hire after the internship, but why not? Why wouldn't I be the right opportunity for, the next internship or the next intern you would propose a full contract to? Why not? But you could be also saying, I really want to develop this and this skill. And then in 5 years from now, I hope I develop then so that I can be that. Okay? It could be that. Is it proposed to have a paper or a laptop for taking notes? I would always recommend paper more because I told you your laptop, never know, tricky difficulty, technical issue, why not? When you introduce yourself, you tend to focus only on work. Yes, recruiters always, mostly in finance, mostly in banking, they always like to hear about the association, charity, and sports. Yeah, sure. 100% sports and hobbies. And you have a lot of skills that you can illustrate through the sports and hobbies. If your goal is to stay in the company after the internship, yeah, sure. Your goal is to say that. You need to say it, but you need to be honest by saying, I know that you don't have any opportunities at the moment. My goal for now is to take this internship and to make the best of it. And of course, if we could talk about the future, I would be more than happy to. But for now, you want the job. Remember, you don't want the 5 years projection. Is it okay to be taking notes? Sure. No, of course not. I will tell you why. So, thank you, Adrian, for this. I move on to the after the interview. I told you to take notes. Okay, but first of all, you won't be using them. You will be doing in 24, hours maximum after the interview. And honestly, I would recommend the day of the interview, you will be sending a thank you email to the persons you were in the interview with. So either the manager, either the HR, whoever. You send an email to just say, thank you very much for taking the time to actually consider my application and talking to me and telling me anything that you were looking for. And you are going to be saying, I understood that you were looking for this, and this. You don't need to make this up. You need to just go and grab your notes and actually copy and paste. Okay? Simple, efficient. And then you are going to say, I understand that you are looking for this kind of profile. My motivation is way bigger now, okay, um, than it was before the interview. So now I really want to show you that I understood the position. You are not going to say, you want to show you that I understood what you were looking for. You are going to say all the things they told in the interview so that you can show to them that you have understood the position and what they were looking for. And then in the end, that you are this person by saying, I want to reiterate my motivation to work for you. End of story. Thank you very much in advance. We'll talk in 2 weeks because they told you the next step is in 2 weeks because we are going to be seeing 10 other candidates. Thank you very much. End of story. Then you try to self-rate your interview. What went well? What went wrong? What could have you done differently? But remember, I don't want you to feel like you were not enough prepared because this will lead to your fault, you see? Wrong preparation. So go to your career services, go to your friends, whatever, go on the AI because we have a lot of amazing things that we can prepare with AI now, and then try to rate your performance. And then don't neglect the follow up because if the recruiter told you, thank you very much for your time, we are going to be seeing 10 candidates and we'll come back to you with our answer in 2 weeks. We are 2 weeks after. You send an email, you say, hello, how are you? We had an interview 2 weeks ago. I just wanted to catch up with you. Have you been able to make your decision? And for myself, things are moving on. I have also done some different interviews, and everything could be sped up at the end of the week. I really hope you are able to take your decision soon so that we can talk to each other again. Thank you very much for your time. Waiting some news from you. Bye. End of story. Okay. And then you are going to what did I say in the slides? Use lace thread before. Yeah, of course. For this follow up, you don't write them before the delay they told you to respect, because I have students always who ask me, is it okay for me to actually write something? Of course it is, because if they had their decision taken just before, they would have probably sped up the process and give you information before that you would be the candidate or not. If you didn't have any information from them or any news from them for the delay they told you to respect, it's completely okay for you to follow up and to just write something to them saying you are still motivated after this interview. Okay. What is your question? Back when you were interviewing candidates, what were some no-goes that made you directly feel like you wouldn't push the application further? Oh, nice question. I like that. When I felt like I wasn't interviewing a lot of students, to be honest. Most like real full-time jobs. You see, so my profiles were more like 10 to 30 years of experience. I used to recruit some high qualified profiles. I liked when the people knew what they were applying for. So, as I was a headhunter, most of the times, it's not that comparable, because I used to call the people and say to them, I have a nice job to propose to you. Would you be interested? The people were not looking for some positions. I tried to sell them, you see, some new jobs. But in the cases where I had clients with an offer, I posted the offer online and people applied to my position. I hated when people didn't prepare for the job or the call or the interview, so that they didn't know how to introduce themselves, they didn't know how to pitch me their experience, they didn't know how to explain, or it was blurry, or it was way too long. I didn't like that. I liked when everything was smooth and when the people knew how to explain their motivation. Yeah, this would be my no-go. Should you send the thank you email right after? Yes, yes. I say, let's just say you had the interview in the morning, you send it in the afternoon. If you had it in the afternoon, you send it in the evening. Okay, so that the person at 8 in the morning the day after will receive your email. I want you to be the first email the person is going to open the next day. Yes, I guess I can move on to you got the job. Let's just say everything went right. Um, I want to go back to the salary topic because I told you for the interview it's about expectations. But then when comes the negotiation? Remember, so you wait for the offer, the salary, and once you receive the offer, you think about the whole package. Please don't feel like you need to accept it immediately. You can actually take, I would say 2 days would be okay, would be acceptable. Feel free to take time, but please say thank you very much in the first place. Because if you just say, I will look to the proposal, no, wrong signal. You say thank you very much. I'd be really honored to work with you, but just let me take just a few days to actually review everything that composes the proposal. And then if you need to negotiate, you prepare your arguments, because a wrong negotiation will start with a wrong preparation. And if you don't have all the arguments If it's too low, why? Regarding your researches, remember the market data, the network data, the school data, the personal research, anything you can have gathered on Glassdoor and with networking with alumni and other students, you need to have all the information. So if you are expecting more, try to think about it. And maybe if you really want the job, but the proposal is too low for you, you can say to them, regarding how many months of experience on this position could we actually negotiate again the salary? Because sometimes you can accept a position at the moment and say and put it in the contract like written that in 6 months or a year from taking the position, the salary will be actually reviewed again to be higher. Okay, it is okay. I have seen that with students of mine. So, sorry, if we have something left to say, can we add it? Yeah, sure, you could. If you say that you would like to just say something more, something that maybe wouldn't have been addressed in the interview, please use that thank you email to say it. Yeah. And I'm assuming that I see the timing. We still have 4 minutes to go. I can take the questions you can have. I'm hoping I answered all the questions you wrote in the chat in the first place. For my part, I guess I have covered everything I wanted to give you as an insight, insightful tips, I would say. I hope it was relevant for you. And please, if you have any more questions, type them in the chat so that I can use the 3 more minutes we have together to actually address them. Or if I didn't answer right one question you actually asked me, say it, please, so that I can be more relevant. Or everything was cleared for you. I'm assuming Kendall will leave it on display. Yeah. You can correct me, Kendall, if I'm not right.
Great. Well, thanks, Anne-Sophie. Looks like we're just wrapping up here. Very helpful. Thanks for joining. Inspiring. Love it.
I'm happy to read that. If you want to add me on LinkedIn so we can keep in touch, feel free. I'd be happy. So my name is Anne-Sophie Berthelot, Berthelot. Oh, I have one question. How much could the tone of voice and verbs influence the interview? A lot. You ask how much, but a lot. Trust me, a boring voice, sorry, you don't want that. So you want to feel, it's exactly what I told you, smiling and cheering. But not too much. Remember, smiling, not friendly. So we shouldn't be the ones who bring up the salary in the conversation. I told you over the phone interview, you can, of course, because this would help you understanding if you need to go on to the interview process after. But if there is no negotiation possible or if you are not on the same range, you don't go into the interview part. This wouldn't feel relevant. But of course, I would say this shouldn't be from you. This should be from the recruiter. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, then I think we'll leave it at that, Anne-Sophie, for today. Thank you so much for joining, both yourself and the contributions from Audencia Business School. Very insightful session and taking the time to join the global network of early talent. Thank you, everyone, for participating today actively with your great questions. I hope you found it useful, and I believe you're walking away with some practical strategies to tackle your next interview with confidence. And yes, you will receive an email with the resources from the workshop for you to reflect back on. So on behalf of Hired and Audencia Business School, thank you for joining. This is a wrap for 2025 Hired workshops. We wish you the best of luck in your upcoming interviews, and we hope you have future hired career workshops and events in 2026. So stay posted on the Hired platform under the event section. There's a lot coming up for 2026. Thank you, everybody.